Good morning, rockers. This morning I just wanted to put together a video of absolutely my dub done wrong basic system of making music. And for the last year, while I've been putting together my compilation album called Compilations Number 1 on Global Reverb Dub Music channel, this is the technique I used to use, or this is a technique I do use even today, but within the next few weeks I will be getting a hold of real multi-tracking software so that I can make, let's call it, real music, because up until now all I've been doing is cutting and pasting and dropping things into an instrumental, which is not very good mixing technique, and it's very, very irredeemable, if you know what I mean. As you're mixing and as you're making the tune, you don't really get to go back and fine-tune anything later on because everything's mixed into a stereo track at the end. It's not the best way to do things. I told you, it's dub done wrong, and I've been doing it wrong for at least a year. Forgive me to all the vocalists that have contributed, and I've been pretty happy with the majority of the work that's come out, but I must admit too that some of the phone quality of the recordings has not been very good, meaning that some of the vocalists have been recording direct to their telephones, and because they've been doing that, the quality has not translated very well into a mixed tune on YouTube or on iTunes or whatever else, because it already sounds like it comes from a telephone. There's some very good apps you can use on your smartphone nowadays which actually record in very high quality recording rates, higher than CD, and you can record yourself in mono, please. Record yourself at a high sample rate and you'll get a pretty decent recording from just about any smartphone today. And that includes people in Africa and South America. I can't see why anyone can't get their hands on a decent Samsung, because they are available everywhere. And I mean, if that's the only piece of technology that you own, it's worth it, because a telephone is going to be more than just a emailing service. You can use it to send photos and music and share documents and whatever else. Buying a telephone is an investment in your future. And I mean buying a smartphone. Okay, first I grab an instrumental that I've already made. It's one of my own, and normally it is the instrumental that the vocalist listens to, but sometimes the vocalist just listens to a basic instrumental that I have that doesn't have a melody. So they can record any kind of vocals that they like, and then I drop that on top of another tune and pray to God that the melody and the bass line go together, or at least that they're in the same key. If not, I try a different instrumental, because I have at least 20 or so instrumentals at any time sitting around waiting to be used in a dub tune. And let's have a look if I can give you an example of that. Well, it's a long instrumental, it's 5 minutes long. This one's called Short and Sweet. Yeah, I'll try it. It looks like it has a short intro, which is always good. I think being able to drop in 15 seconds, or for me, I like to drop the bass line in about 30 seconds, or drop the heavy beat at 30 seconds into the tune. So the intro is about 30 seconds long in general. It used to be a minute, but I've learnt a lot, and when it comes to people getting into the tune, they want to get into it sooner rather than later, unless you've got a lot of atmospheric keys or something, and maybe you can spend a minute and a half establishing a mood, but you don't want to do that on a dance floor or on the radio. So we'll see what this sounds like. what's that, 15. Yeah, yep, that drops in at about 12 seconds into the tune. It's got a little fluffy kind of nonsensical organ at the beginning. It's not that important what the organ is doing, but it's sort of establishing we're on our way somewhere. And because a lot of the guys send me vocals, they do little intros as well. I'll grab an intro from Bagger, because Bagger's just sent me a new instrumental, a new vocal. This will not be the final tune, but this will be an illustration of how I do, or how I did, put my tunes together. Alright, so I'm happy with this, and in the very beginning I'll mark where the first beat kicks in, because that's probably also going to be an indicator for where my vocal should start, or very near there. Alright, so I insert a marker at the very, very first beat. I might not need it, but it's good to have it there. Alright, now I'll open African Land Stems. That's the name of the file that I'm going to be going through. I don't know if it's really helpful, so I'll try to zoom in. I'll keep talking, and hopefully you get a better idea of what I'm actually doing on the PC. Alright.
Big up! Man, bag up on him.
Here's the intro. You can see it's not a very large file by any means, and I don't know why, but it's 30 seconds long. And I'll just cut out all of the empty space. I don't need lots of room at the end because I'm going to add some reverb anyway. I'm not cutting any sound off, clearly. And at the beginning, I can chop off the silence.
And I hear this! Ha! A real thing now.
Alright, as you can see, the first shout is quite loud.
And I hear this! And I hear this! Ha!
There's a little laugh here, and that's a kind of place where I like to throw in an effect. This is just what I do. Other people do, like professional mixers do multi-track recording, but what I'm doing here really is stereo track recording, and in this case even mono recording. I've got the laugh, the ha. Delay, preview.
A real
That's too much. 4, 2, 9. Should be quarter notes. Let's see what that sounds like. Also with the decay, about 50% is usually a smart amount of decay. Sometimes I use more, like 60 to 70%, but once you go past 80% decay, it kind of muddies the rest of it. And also the decay the delay level here shouldn't really be over 20% at any point. I think also under 15 is pretty decent. If you can't hear it too loudly, it's pretty good. 16%, let's hear what that sounds like.
A real thing now. Big up!
Yeah, that's good. It's not overpowering, but you can definitely hear there's a delay.
A real thing now.
When he says a real ting, I think that's supposed to be kind of like a backhanded statement. And the rest of this should actually be loud.
Big up! Man, bag up on him case again.
The way I make it loud is first of all normalize. And I normalize under 100. I know everyone else is going to be doing things so much quieter than me, and that's probably half my problem. Everyone's talking about doing things at -12 or -16. I'm doing everything at, like, you know, just under 0. So, you know, around 98% I do just so it doesn't distort. It's extremely loud and probably not smart for most people to do it this way. But that's the way I do it. As you can see here now, the first shout is too loud compared to everything else. So the first shout will actually get reduced in size just by using volume, and I do that at 80%. Again, minus 1.75 decibels. It basically brings it in line with the first shout.
Big up! Man bag up on him case again. Hey!
Every time I hear a shout like this,
Hey!
I always think it deserves some sort of delay. The delays are not always the same, because if you keep repeating the delay, it kind of just adds to the rhythm and gets monotonous. But if you add a delay, what I do is I have a chart up on my wall, and on the chart you can clearly see this has the designations for my favorite tempos. Everybody should have something like this in the studio. I like to work at 140 beats a minute or 70 beats a minute. I mean, 70 beats a minute is the reggae rhythm, 140 beats a minute is the stepper rhythm. But I mark the important numbers, as you can see here, that's the stuff I need to know, and I just turn my head and I'm on the computer keying in the right number. Let's hear what that sounds like.
Big up! Man bag up on him case again. Hey! Now me say in your zim.
Okay, it overpowers the verse. But this verse we've already used in another song.
Now me say in your zim bin is in that too. Knitting a sesco when felle too. Araba singer will like take go tipaku. Right out to Antablo makes nothing fresh from the shop.
I'm going to cut that out completely because we actually put that in a song previously, and I'm not going to repeat choruses in different tunes because we want every tune to be unique. So what does that intro sound like now?
And I hear this! Ha! A real thing now. Big up! Man bag up on him case again. Hey! Right out to Antablo makes nothing fresh from the section bandit desk.
Alright, that last part is a little quiet as well.
Right out to Antablo.
Increase the volume just by a little. Let's say 110%. Not bad. I'll go down here where it gets really quiet and do the same thing. Repeat the volume. And then because it's still quiet down here, I'll repeat the same thing. Right? Let's see what that sounds like.
Hey! Right out to Antablo makes nothing fresh from the section bandit desk.
Alright, the middle is still a little too quiet. So I'm going to raise all of this quiet part with volume, just to start with. 140. Whoa, okay, that's about the right size.
Right out to Antablo makes nothing fresh from the section bandit desk.
So what you can see is that physically, the volume, if it physically looks the same, generally speaking, it will be about the same volume, but different frequencies will look different on the screen. So just mixing by looking at pictures isn't the smartest way to mix. You still need to be listening to what you do. I'm going to clip off the very beginning of this sample. Like I said before, the stuff that I receive is usually like one continuous stream of audio or pieces of audio like chorus, verse, intro, that kind of thing. And it's really imperative that you cut and slice everything so it's nice and neat and clean. At least that's important for me. At the end I leave a bit of room so if it has to tail out or have reverb on it. And as you can hear, there is no reverb on this at the moment. I just hope that the camera quality or the audio quality of the camera is going to reflect the work that we're doing here.
And I hear this! Ha! A real thing now. Big up! Man bag up on him case again. Hey! Right out to Antablo makes nothing fresh from the section bandit desk.
Alright, it doesn't have any reverb whatsoever, and this,
Hey!
I think also needs a delay. So I'm going to put a really long delay that goes over the whole end of that, but not loud. Alright, so effects, delay. The longest delay I can do at 140 beats a minute is 857 milliseconds. And the decay will go for 80%, which is quite long. The delay volume is still not going to be very loud, 16%, but I might do 12. Under 20 is, for me, not too overpowering, but sometimes I do it louder. What's that sound like? It definitely goes way past the verse.
Hey! Right at one time, I'm extracting fresh from the section bandit desk.
Alright, it goes way over. I'll just chop off the last part. And this dusk part,
Desk.
that I'm going to copy. Effects, distortion, 40% distortion. You can hear it is distorted,
Desk.
but now I add a delay while this tiny piece is distorted, and the delay will be a little louder and not as long and faster. 286 1/8 triplets. What's that sound like?
Section bandit desk.
Okay. So let's hear it. I'm going to add reverb to it, but first, before I add reverb to it, dynamics. Because you can see it's really up and down here. Of course, everybody wants it to be dynamic, but my way of compressing the vocal is to use the Express FX Dynamics here. And at the moment, I would like to do it 4.5 decibels, which is going to make it much louder. Look at this. It is louder. And now I'm going to add the reverb. I mean, some people might add the reverb first and then make it louder, but I'm making it louder and now adding the reverb. The reverb, hopefully, I'm going to use this Dream Verb, which I love so much. It's so powerful that I'm only going to use it at 8%. I'm not going to use it as 100% here.
And I hear this! Ha! A real thing now. Big up! Man bag up on him case again. Hey! Right at one time, I'm extracting fresh from the section bandit desk.
Alright, it has to be very low.
And I hear this! Ha! A real thing now. Big up! Man.
Alright. I added reverb, but now it looks kind of too loud. So I will reduce. Actually, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to use the dynamics again at 4.5 again, and I'm going to squash this vocal to compress it. It's enormous. Process volume. I'm going to bring it down in volume down to, like, say 80%. So it won't be so overpowering, but you can see now it's almost uniform. Let's listen to it and then see what it sounds like in the instrumental.
And I hear this! Ha! A real thing now. Big up! Man bag up on him case again. Hey! Right at one time, I'm extracting fresh from the section bandit desk.
The reverb at this point does sound overpowering, but it might sound right in the mix. So edit, copy, file, save this as, and that's the intro, now with FX. So I save that as a separate file, edit, copy. You can see I've compressed the shit out of it. So it's really fat and really loud, and it sounds a tiny bit distorted.
And I hear this!
But it'll be softer in the mix. And of course it has a drum rhythm behind it, so let's see if it disappears. I don't know where I want to drop his now. Hear this. Here is the instrumental. I think we could try now hear this from the first beat. Let's try that. Mix. I'll try 80%, because I think 80% for some reason is just a number I like. And that's kind of what happens. And that's why this is dubbed done wrong. Alright, anyway, I can't see the effects of the dynamics of everything. I just look at the waves. 80% seems like the right amount. We can preview.
And I hear this! A real thing now. Big up! Man bag up on him case again. Hey, right at one time, I'm extracting fresh from the section bandit desk.